right. They're up on YouTube. Let's see what I can do with this. We're up on Facebook. All right. And right on cue, the animals start acting up. All right. That a little bit. All right, looks good. I think. Looks really far away. Really far away. I take 2 weeks off and I don't know what I'm doing. All right. Not cutting off my head there. I'm definitely crooked around Facebook. Good morning, you guys. Good morning. All right. I think that's good. Oh, one thing. I'm pretty good about staying on time, but sometimes I get going too much. And sometimes I need to slow down. So just a little bit of help there. So how is everybody? What do I got going on? I got some YouTubers. Like I said, the dogs are going to get all crazy now. So I feel like we haven't worked strength poses so much lately. It's been kind of a chill out and relax sort of time, and I feel like it's time to get strong and again. So probably gonna sweat a lot today. I mentioned that maybe we would do another in-person class if it didn't, if it would, maybe we had a little bit of cool weather, but it's pretty humid and sticky out, so I doubt I'm gonna even be out here, much less somewhere else soon. So it's gonna be a sweaty mess, and I think I'm gonna sit dogs in. Come on, guys. Keiko. Get crazy in there. All right. So it is 9:30, and we can get rolling. Be sure to listen to your body, though. You are at home alone, so there is no pressure to do anything that you don't feel is right for you today. Right? Just because I've done this pose a million times, it should be fine. If it's not feeling right today, don't do it. Right? And you can activate the muscles even in seemingly very simple poses, right? Maybe not child's pose, that's supposed to be like a chill place, but you get the idea, right? You don't have to be in the most difficult, crazy, twisted upside down pose to get the benefits of the pose and to work the muscles that are required for that. So remember, it's about practice, not perfection. Whatever that means for you today, right? So even just standing, we can really change that from just hanging out, right? To being a really active yoga pose. So bring your feet right up underneath your hip bones and point your toes forward. Check in that they're forward. Sometimes people stand with their toes more in. Sometimes people stand with their toes more out. We want to make them parallel to each other. And then go ahead and lift your toes and feel the four corners of your feet. Okay, so big toe knuckle, pinky toe side, both sides of the heels, even on the floor. And if you wear out your shoes unevenly, that's a really good practice for you, is to really be engaged four corners. Let your toes relax, but continue to press down through the four corners. So now you're feeling your legs activate a little bit, right? Sometimes you hear your kneecaps up, if that makes sense. But pressing the feet down into the mat is really kind of the idea. So then lifting the pelvic floor, turning the lower belly in and up, lengthening your side body here. Did you just grow 2 inches? Try and relax your shoulders down on the sides of your body. And the arms can be doing whatever. Some people like to turn their palms forward, right? But just try and let them be loose and relaxed at the sides of your body. Grow tall through the crown of your head. Imagine moving your ears, the bottom tips of your ears back, and you'll feel the weight of the head come right over the shoulders. So pretty much everything but your arms, anyway, are engaged, right? So just standing can cause the muscles to work, and that's brilliant, right? So keep that. Go ahead and close your eyes for a moment. Kind of check in, make sure everything's still engaged. That should be. Things that don't need to be aren't. And then find your breath. And sometimes if we're working very hard or if we're really highly focused on something, you'll find you're holding your breath. So we want to let that flow for sure. Keeping that lower belly engaged, allow the breath to begin to deepen. And we want the upper belly to be soft so it can rise and fall with the breath. And the breath gently gets deeper and maybe a little deeper. Finding a place that is just beyond comfortable. And then keeping what you've set here. So the engagement of the legs, the length through your spine, that nice attention to that full breath. Let's add in movement. On the inhale, stretch the arms up. With the exhale, bring them back down. Connected to the breath like that. We'll do it again. One more time. Come on back to the top, inhale. When you get there, interlace the fingers. You can rotate the palms toward the ceiling if you'd like. Exhale, tip yourself to the left. And then inhale back to the middle. Exhale over to the right. So side to side like that. Keeping the lower body engaged, the spine really tall. Maybe moving a little bit deeper into the side stretch. We're going to go once more on each side. Back to the top on your inhale. And then exhale, release the arms. So nice and tall here. Let's go ahead and extend the arms out to the sides. We're going to take the left hand forward and the right hand back, giving yourself a little twist. Notice how the feet will change, the knees maybe change. This hip likes to drop back. You can look over the shoulder if you like. We're going to release that back to the middle. Let's release the arms for a second. shake your shoulders a little bit. And then we're doing the second side. So the arms out parallel to the floor, right hand forward, left hand back. Same idea, just kind of letting the body move around, starting at your feet. Like feel how that changes. And then we'll come on back to the center. Go ahead and release your arms. Again, kind of shake them around. We're going to do that again, but we're going to change it up just a little bit. So take the arms out to the sides, plant your feet, plant your knees, plant your hips where they are. Keep the side bodies long, and take the left hand forward and the right hand back again. So you probably don't twist as far, but that's just because the rest of the body isn't doing the work, right? Only the spine can really twist. Take the arms, wrap them around. So the left hand to the right hip, right hand reaching behind the back over toward that left hip. You can kind of pull against them and maybe square the hips up a little bit more. Or when you pull against them, sometimes that draws the spine around a little bit. We'll take another nice big breath here. Go ahead and release the arms back to center. And let them fall and roll them out again. So that same idea on the second side. Lower body stays put. Arms extend. We're going to reach the right hand forward and the left hand back. Checking in to see if you can align. And then taking the arms, wrapping them around, and letting them help align. Another nice big breath. And then we'll release, coming back to the center. Release the arms, roll them out. And then finding our center again, pressing down into the feet. Belly's engaged, side body's long. Leaning on the thighs here, let's come over into a half fold kind of idea. And check in, because a lot of times when we come into this half fold, the knees bend and the hips drop back. Right? Sometimes the back rounds. We want to keep the back aligned, the legs straight, and the hips over the ankles. So if that means leaning with your hands on your thighs, lean. From here, slowly, see about coming a little deeper into the fold. Take your time on the way down, keeping the spine nice and long, shoulders back. Don't worry about touching your toes. And then bring the hands to the mat, maybe to your shins, maybe to your feet, right? But we want to keep the shoulders back. So maybe they have to stay up on your thighs, right? From here, let's go ahead and lift the right leg straight back, right? And just like with our twist, the body will sort of shift to help. Sometimes that right hip sort of lifts up. We want to try and keep the hips parallel to each other. Right? Make the right leg straight, so press out through the heel strong. Shoulders back. Bend into the left knee, a little or a lot, depending on where you're at. And then take that leg straight again. Bend the left knee and take it straight. Do that one more time. Bend at the knee, step way back into a lunge here. You can absolutely drop the knee to the floor. Right? Let yourself kind of wiggle around a little bit. And then let's find a center. So imagine sweeping the legs toward each other up underneath the body. Extend out long through the crown of the head here. Bring the left hand to the hip and let's rotate around. Belly, side ribs, shoulder, maybe turning the head. Keeping the legs really engaged here, working those muscles. Make yourself shake even maybe a little bit. Releasing the twist. Let's take that leg straight. So again, the right knee can be on the mat if you need. We want the shoulders back. We want the legs like they're sweeping toward each other up underneath the body. Hips are square here. You're breathing, right? Yeah, you got to do that. And then go ahead and bend back into the knee. Hop the right foot in until you can lift that foot away from the floor again. So just like we were before, parallel-ish to the floor, pressing through the right heel. Left leg is straight for now. Hips are square. Bend into the left knee a little bit, and then take it straight. Bend and straight. Do that one more time. Let's release the right foot down by the left. Be sure to plant that firmly up underneath the hip bone. Take your time. Engage into the feet, even here. And then we're going to switch sides, doing the same thing. Simply lift the left foot away from the floor. And yes, ideally it's hip height. If it's 2 inches up off the floor, that still counts. Press through the heel, make that leg nice and straight and strong. Bend into the right knee. Take the leg straight. Again. And then one more time. Bend into the knee, this time stepping back for our lunge. Let yourself wiggle and shift a little. Drop the left knee to the floor if you need to here. Sweep the legs toward each other, make them work again. Bring the right hand to the hip, and we're rotating around here. Big full breaths. Releasing the twist, taking the right leg straight, or straight-ish. Remember to keep the spine long, the hips square, the legs are still active here, pulling toward each other. Let's bend back into the knee. Hop in until you can lift the left foot away from the floor again. Right leg straight, left leg straight, even if it's an inch up off the floor, pressing through the heel. Bend into the right and take it straight. Again. And then one more time. Release the left foot and let yourself hang for a second. From here, we'll step back into down dog. Taking your time and wiggling yourself into position here. As we begin to settle in, check in. Check out your hands, shoulder width apart, right? 4 corners of the hands pressing down into the mat. If you want a little extra for the arms, imagine pulling your finger pads in toward the hand, like you could bunch up the mat underneath your fingers. Sinking the heels, pressing the chest back, letting your head hang between the arms. And then with the breath here on an inhale, slide forward, come into plank. We're not going to hold. Exhale, slide back, down dog. So take a few flows like that. Forward into plank. Inhale. Exhale back to your down dog. Keeping the belly engaged. Remember, you can absolutely even be on your knees for this. Same muscles, right? Let's go one more time. Once you're back in down dog, go ahead and drop on down to your knees and take a little child's pose here. Check in that your mind is still engaged on what you're doing. Big full breaths. We'll go ahead and lift back to down dog. And then we're going to add on to that idea. So remember, you can take knee variations in some of these places, right? So from down dog, we're going to lift the right leg. Work to keep the hips square, right? Let's do the exact same thing we just did. Inhale, slide forward into plank. Exhale, slide back, three-legged dog. Again. One more time like that. Release the right foot. And then we're doing the same thing on the second side. So lift the left leg. Hips square, belly in. Slide forward, inhaling. Exhale, back to down dog. Again, like that. One more time. Releasing the left foot. Drop on down to the knees and take your child's pose again. Adding on to that. Back to down dog. This time here, let's lift the right leg. Open the hip. Take your toes really high. Try and keep your shoulders level though. Bending at the knee, point the knee toward the ceiling. And then take the legs straight, square your hips again. Slide forward. And back. Releasing the right foot. And then taking that same idea to the second side. So lift the left. Open at the hip. Toes high. Bending at the knee if you'd like. Keeping the chest pressing back. Take the legs straight and square your hips. Slide forward. And back. Release the left foot. Drop on down to the knees and sit back in your child's pose again. So being really aware of the four corners of your hands. If you feel like your wrists are getting overly tired, focus more on the ball mound of the hand. The ridge top, some people call that. And if you're not feeling anything, pull those fingers in like I was suggesting earlier. So we're going to change that up just a little bit. Come on back to down dog. Sliding forward into plank, we are simply going to hold the plank here, right? So take the knees if you need the knees, but the idea is to make the same muscles work here, well, on top of your arms, of course, right? As we're working in our standing pose, right? So the legs are straight. We want to press through the four corners of the feet. Find a neutral spine here. Pulling the belly, the pelvic floor up and the lower belly in and kind of forward, not over into up so much. If you're not already, go ahead and drop to your knees, keeping that same alignment though, right? It's easy to get sort of saggy in through here. As long as the body is a straight line, when you start to bend your elbows, you can bring the elbows in line with the ribs. Stop for a second, check in. Are you the same straight line? Keep it and drop down to the belly. And then everything touches the floor kind of together that way. Kind of, right? Hands are next to the side ribs here. Let's just roll into our shoulders a little bit. So with the breath, on the inhale, pull them up by the ears, down toward, or together on the back and down toward the hip bones. Exhale, release. So with your breath, just a moment, just let it be about your shoulders. We'll work into the triceps a little bit more. Let's go once more. And then just rest a moment. And then adding on the arms to that, right? So keep the elbows in toward the body. The shoulders stay back a bit more when the elbows are in versus out. Play with that and see, right? So keeping the elbows in, roll into the shoulders like we did. This time, pull with your hands like you're pulling your belly button forward. Feel your triceps there. Keep that, and then maybe press. Try not to take your arms all the way straight because then you're just relying on the bones. It's less work. So the elbows a little bit bent, four corners of the hands, the chest is open and leaning. You should be feeling your triceps like mad. Drop on down. So we're going to try and lift up off the floor everything at the same time. You can absolutely use just a full plank, so your toes pressing into the floor. Maybe press the knees down into the mat, activating the belly, and then bringing yourself halfway up. Elbows in line with the ribs. You're in that nice straight line, right? Back into a full plank, all the way back into a child's pose. All right, so from child's pose, let's come back to our down dog. I promise we are done with planks for now. Mostly. Stepping the feet forward, back into our standing fold. Feet up underneath the hip bones, toes are forward, pressing down, legs are straight. Bring the hands back to the thighs, and let's come halfway up again. So just like before, hips over ankles, straight legs, shoulders back, belly in. Supporting on the thighs here if you need that. Otherwise, arms down the sides of the body. Keeping everything you have set here. See about taking the arms out to the sides, right off the shoulders. Check in, right? Sometimes they do this flying up and back thing for some weird reason. And if that's not enough work, take the arms alongside the ears. Watching that the legs are straight, the hips are over the ankles, the back is in a neutral position, not all saggy and weird and round, right? Bend into the knees and come to chair. So you can definitely change where your arms are at this point. Four corners of the feet, tailbone tucking, shoulders back, chest open and lifted. You're breathing, right? With an inhale, stretch to the ceiling. And then exhale, release the arms. Feel like you've worked yet? I hope so. I certainly have. All right, so moving in through sun salutes, we are going to change them up just a little bit. We'll take a few in our normal, simple version. So you can take your time with your planks, right? Use your knees if you need your knees. Make sure you're using the muscles of the arms, not necessarily your arm bones as you're working through your cobra. right? So all these little tricks will make it more or less work if you need. So let's start here. Inhaling the arms toward the ceiling. Exhaling, take yourself into a fold. Inhale, come halfway up. And then exhale, step it back to plank. Again here, knees if you'd like, down to the belly, everything together. And then rolling into your cobra. Exhaling to release that all the way down, up and back into down dog. Inhaling to step forward. Halfway up. And then back over. All the way up this time. And release. So again, like that. Inhaling. And folding. Halfway up. And back to plank. Take it all the way down on that same exhalation, everything to the floor together, maybe. Inhale into cobra. Back to down dog. Stepping forward. Coming halfway up. Fold back over again. And then all the way up. And release. So we're going to do one more like that. Only I'm not going to talk, right? Connect with your breath. If you do kind of get lost on where you're at, take a peek, of course. But otherwise, just listen to your breath. Listen to your body. We've just done two exactly like that. You can change it up or not, right? So you got one cue and then you go, right? Inhale, reaching the arms. And take it. So sometimes it's nice to just kind of rely on yourself, right? So keep that idea in your brain. We're going to add on to that though, right? So same idea, in the middle we're going to add on. So take your time with this. Again, modify if you need to modify. Keep the muscles engaged, really, really important. Let's go ahead and inhale, sit into a chair. And then exhale over into your fold. Halfway up. Exhale back to plank. And drop down to the belly. Roll into cobra. And then release back to down dog. With the inhale, step the right foot forward into lunge. Toes all the way up to the top of the mat. You can absolutely drop your back knee here. Sweeping the legs together just like we did. You can keep the lower body low. Maybe bring the hands to the hips or the thigh. Inhale, lift your upper body. Exhale, back over again. Lift. And back down. One more time like that. Releasing back down, hands to the mat, step back, down dog. Inhale, slide forward for plank. Exhale to the belly. Inhale into your cobra. And then back to down dog. This time the left foot's going to step forward. Toes all the way on up. Hands on the floor, hands to the thigh, on the hips. Maybe extend forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, back down. Again. One more time. Take it all the way down, step back to down dog. Inhale forward for your plank. And exhale down. Inhale into cobra. And then back to that down dog. Holding in your down dog or taking child's pose. Big full breaths here. Listening to your body. Do you need more work or less? You got one more breath where you are. And then if you drop down, lift back to your down dog. From down dog on an inhale, step the feet forward in the fold. And inhaling, come halfway up. Exhale over. And then inhale into a chair. And exhale, release it. So we're going to take that idea one more time. We're going to change that lunging piece up a little bit this time. Remember, you can do something we've already done if that's where you need to be, or you can add on or not. Okay, so let's go. Inhaling into a chair, and then exhaling over into the fold. Coming halfway up. Step it back for plank. Take it down to the belly. Roll into cobra. And back to down dog. Stepping the right foot forward for lunge. Toes all the way to the fingers. This time we're going to climb up, lifting the upper body. And again, the hands can be on the thigh, hips, extending, whatever makes you happy here. With an exhale, bend your left knee, almost touch the floor. And then lift up. Bend. And up. Go one more time like that. Release it all back to lunge and step into down dog. Slide forward plank. Exhaling to the belly. Inhaling for cobra. And then back to down dog. You got one more side. Step that left foot up. Toes all the way up. Climb on up. Take your time. When you are ready, arms where you need them to be. Exhaling as you bend into the right knee. Inhale and lift. Do it again. One more time. Releasing back over, step back to your down dog. Slide forward into plank. Last one like this, down to the belly. Rolling into cobra. And then releasing back to your down dog. Holding in down dog or dropping into child's pose. And one more breath here. Lifting up if you drop down. Inhaling as you step the feet forward. Halfway up. And back over. Into chair. And then exhale, release it. All right. So we're going to work a little bit with our balance, still with those muscles engaged, so you're getting the same idea. And ideally, with the muscles engaged like that, the balance comes a little bit easier, maybe. All right? So let's take ourselves over into a fold. And it's ideal here if you have the legs straight and the fingertips straight down underneath the shoulders, right? That might not be your reality. So if you need the knees bent or if you want to use a block, definitely make those modifications. We're going to lift the right leg just like we did earlier, right? So pressing through the heel, the legs are ideally straight, but they're strong, right? You can leave the hands on the floor. You can take them up to the thigh, the hips, flying, whatever. But we're going to change it up. So make sure the belly is working. And instead of having the hips square, open that right hip. And then close it back up again. Slow and controlled with your breath. Maybe inhale and open. And exhale and close. We'll do that again. And then release the right foot to the floor. We're going to do the second side then, same idea. So you decide where the hands need to be at any moment, right? Lift the left leg. Hands where you want the hands to be, maybe just one on the floor. Open the hip. And then close it back up again. Open. And close. Go one more. Close it back up. Release the left foot to the floor and let yourself hang. So a little bend in the knees, maybe grab opposite elbow, let your head hang. From here, we're going to make our way back to a down dog. And then drop it down into child's pose. All right, from child's pose, let's come up onto forearms and knees. We're going to work with forearm planks or dolphin at first anyhow, and then we'll add on to that. So elbows up underneath the shoulders here. Grabbing the outside edge of the elbow makes that happen. You can then take your arms either back out into Sphinx or interlaced out front. I'm going to say this again because no matter how many times I say it, I always see something weird. In Sphinx, there's a straight line from your middle finger to your elbow, and the arms are parallel to each other. The shoulders don't always like this. So they like to turn the fingers out, they like to bring the wrists in, and they like to have the elbows out, right? But this is not Sphinx. If you find that happening, interlace your fingers and tuck your elbows in, right? It's way more important to have the elbows underneath the shoulders than the arms in Sphinx position, right? You stress out your shoulder, and after a minute, that gets pretty old, right? So tuck those elbows up underneath. Decide where your forearms need to be. And then press down into the floor, just like we do with our feet, right? Imagine pulling together up underneath. And if your belly didn't automatically activate it. Lifting the knees away from the floor, press your chest back, sink your heels like a forearm down dog, right? See if you can look up between your elbows, right? Keeping the head away from the floor. If that bothers your neck, don't worry about it. You're breathing, everything good. Good. Sinking into the heels, press your chest back, and then drop on down and sit back into your child's pose. So let's work a little bit more of that. Come forward out onto your forearms and knees. Grabbing the outside edge of the opposite elbow. Sphinx or interlaced fingers, either one's fine. For this variation, you can stay on your knees. You don't have to worry about that piece. Press down into the forearms, pull the elbows together up underneath. Exhale, bring your chin toward your thumbs. Inhale, press back. So simple, forward and back like that. If you're feeling like it's not enough, lift the knees away from the floor, keeping the hips high, come forward and back. Take just a couple more. And then if you haven't already, drop back to your knees and sit back into your child's pose. It's super humid. So let's go one more time. Back up onto forearms and knees. Elbows underneath shoulders, arms out into Sphinx or interlaced out front. Press down, pull together up underneath. You can stay on your knees and go forward and back with your upper body, maybe. Otherwise, lift your knees up off the floor. Press your chest back so the shoulders stay over the elbows. And then with the breath here, the toes come forward, hips over shoulders, and then they walk back. So forward and back with the lower body rather than the upper body. Don't put them together. Take a couple more of whatever variation you're into here. And then sit on back, take a child's pose again. Maybe here, take your hands back by your heels and let your shoulders fall forward. A bigger break for your shoulders. Holy moly. So one more time here, come forward out onto forearms and knees. And the arms can still be in whatever position you want, Sphinx or interlaced fingers. Press down, pull together up underneath. This time step the feet back and come to a plank position rather than that pike with the hips. The belly's working. Pressing through the heels, the legs are working. And then drop on down to the knees, all the way down to the belly. And just hold here. So let's take the right arm out to the right. Palm face down helps keep the hand in place. We don't want it sneaking down by the side of the mat over here, right? Carefully here. Start to roll your body over to the right. And you're going to continue to roll to the right until you feel enough stretch in your shoulder. Releasing that, come back to center. And then go to the second side. So extend the left arm and begin to roll left. Take your time. And again, just until you feel enough. So sometimes just stretching that arm out long is a nice little stretch. Releasing that, let's come back to center. From there, roll all the way over onto your back. And then just take a second. Right? Find an aligned spine.
And then keep that, bringing the feet flat to the floor if they're not already. We're going to bring the knees right over the hips. So if you have your arms straight and your hands on your knees, that's roughly where they're at, right? Roughly. And we want to have about a 90-degree bend in the knees so that the shins are parallel-ish to the floor. And your arms for now can be wherever. So down by your sides, across your belly, even up overhead if that feels good for you. Lower belly's engaged. Okay. Keep the 90-degree bend in the knee. With an exhale, take your left heel toward the floor. And you can just maybe barely touch. Don't rest it. Inhale, come on back up. And then exhale, switching sides. So your right heel is moving toward the floor. And then we inhale and come back up again. So we're going to work side to side like that. You want to make sure that the knee stays bent as it is, and that the lower belly is doing the majority of the work. You got one more on each side. When you're back to center, go ahead and hug your knees back into your chest and just rock a little bit. Come on, babe. So we're going to add on to that, right? Bring the knees where they were, shins parallel to the floor. 90-degree bend stays in the knee. This time we're going to add the arms in. So extend the arms up toward the ceiling, trying to keep the shoulders relaxed. Jesus Christ, dog. Oof. All right, so this time we work across the body. For God's sake. As that left heel moves toward the floor, the right thumb is coming to the floor overhead. And then we're coming back to center and switching sides. So right heel and left thumb, back to middle, side to side. Take your time across the body. The brain doesn't like to do things like this. Right? So it takes a minute to adjust. Take just a couple more on each side like that. Connected to your breath. When you're even, come on back to center, hug your knees in and rock a little bit. Pull it out. Let's take the feet flat to the floor. I don't know what time. All right, go. Crossing the left ankle over the right knee. Reach back behind the right thigh here and releasing the fingers. Come on, guys, go lay down. And we're going to pull the right leg in toward the chest. You can press the left leg away with the elbow if you'd like. And really just draw inward here. You'll find that the spine might round, your shoulders might lift. Sometimes the head even lifts up off the floor here. So if that's happening, let it. Don't make it. But if it's happening, let it. Pressing the leg back into the hands, push and pull. And as you push away, see if you can drop your shoulders if they lifted. Turn your tailbone back down toward the floor if it rounded up off the mat. Finding the neutral curves in the spine again. And making a lot of muscles work here. So your feet are flexed, your arms are pulling in, your leg is pressing back away. Take another big breath. And then release, taking both feet flat to the floor again. If you get a little crooked on your mat, straighten that out for sure. Cross the right ankle over the left knee, and then do the same thing over here, reaching back behind the left thigh. Pulling toward the body, right arm pressing away. And again, for a moment here, as you draw in, let the body round. Keeping the arms pulling in, start to kick the leg back into the hands. Push and pull. Oh, geez, are you kidding me? Making the muscles work. And then releasing, feet to the floor again. Let's open the arms out into a T position. We'll shift the hips over to the right edge of the mat and let the knees fall left. Relaxing the shoulders, maybe looking over the right hand if you like. We'll take another big breath. And then come on back to center and switch sides. So the hips left and the knees right. Take one more nice big breath on this side. And then bring it back to center again. Aligning the spine, drawing the knees into the chest. Let yourself rock. Squeezing the knees in and pulling the forehead toward the knees. Let's reach it out into a full body stretch. And then release the stretch. Letting the arms come back down by your sides. Take a moment to align the body against the mat. And then all of that squeezing in and engaging of the muscles that we've been doing, do the reverse of that. Let it go. Feeling as if the body's sinking into the mat. Completely comfortable. Bringing the mind back solely to the breath. And even here, let go. Releasing all the work. And just allowing the mind to relax and be present. Giving yourself a few minutes to simply rest here.
Slowly draw in a deep, cleansing breath, and then let that go. Starting small, allow the body to wiggle, move, and stretch. Keeping the eyes closed and the mind quiet here. Slowly make your way back up to seated. Sitting well and bringing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. Sorry for the circus. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you either feel strong or feel weak from working so hard, right? Shaking a little bit. 5 minutes of Shavasana just makes it all better though, right? So thanks for joining me this morning, and I will catch you next week if I don't before. Remember, like, share, comment, suggestions, proposes, anything you need, I'm here. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.